Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. It's time to make some trades. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia. With me, of course, is the Welsh. And today we're going to look at some buy lows and sell high, some opportunities on the trade market. There's definitely some players struggling that have some big track records. And we're going to kick things off with a big free agent first base signing from the Houston Astros. It's Christian Walker, who has not gotten off to the best start. But Welsh, as I wrote on FantasyPros.com earlier today, I'm going to buy into the fact that this is a guy who gives you a 250 batting average, gives you 25, 30 home runs every single year. And it's just feeling the effects of a different location, right? This is a new place for him, new expectations, trying to just kind of get assimilated. And I think Christian Walker is absolutely a guy that can bounce back. Now, the bat speed is still good. You look at the Baseball Savant page, everything else has been terrible. You've seen a lot of Christian Walker in your life. I think he's a buy. I've seen him dropped in some shallow leagues. That's crazy. Where are you at with Christian Walker right now?
Well, I can maybe understand like 10-man leagues if there's lots of available players out there, you know, when the Soderstroms and the Torkelsons are out there that people could make a move off of. But I think when we look long-term at the end of the season, we're going to have like a regret because Christian Walker is going to bounce back. The problem is he's a pretty streaky player. He's shown that from, you know, his complete disappearance in the World Series to kind of what you're talking about in first halves. In 2024, he hit 278 in April, but hit only 237 in May and 245 in June. In 2023, he hit under 250 the first 2 months of the season. And in 2022, he hit over 250 only once the first 4 months. And then he comes on like gangbusters. So, you know, I think there are some questions kind of generally in there. And the problem, as you kind of mentioned, everything is down-ish, but he's still hitting the ball really hard. He is still barreling. He's not getting the ball in the air like he needs to, so his pulled fly balls are down. But once that happens, he's in a ballpark that is the home of pulled fly balls, and he's going to start crushing some homers. So I'm not really surprised by some of the streakiness. He's a great defender. He's never going to get out. He's got to cut the strikeouts down, but I do think this is going to bounce back. This is a track record play more than it is everything is screaming to buy him at this point. But if a guy like a Soderstrom or, you know, a Torkelson were in a 10-man league, I guess I could understand the move off of. But I think in most places, this is a buy. Try to sit him. So many first basemen have been really great. Go get Jonathan Aranda, play him for a couple weeks, let Christian Walker get right, and then he's going to go back to being like a top 6 or 7 first baseman in fantasy. I would love to hear the commenters, so put it in the YouTube, but I'm going to go with Christian Walker, and I think that feels very right now, and it may end up being wrong because Torkelson is really finding consistency, but I think when Walker gets going in Houston, he's going to really get going, and he's going to fly past quite a few of these hot pickups.
Now, speaking of guys who got off to slow starts after getting big contracts, Anthony Santander with the Toronto Blue Jays, same deal. And this is what we see time and time again, right, Welsh? You have different expectations. You have different environment. I understand it's the, you know, same division, so everything should be normal to him. But, you know, when a person changes their world, right, moves somewhere, family changes, there's a lot going on there. Not to mention there's new pressure because of the big contract and the big money. And I think that's what we're getting with Santander. He has just 2 homers. He's hitting under 200. Now, he's never a big batting average guy. I know he had 257 a couple years ago in 2023. Last year was down to 235, but he sacrificed some average and gave us 44 bombs. I would be very happy to just get the 28 homer, 257 guy the rest of the season from Santander. And the exit velo is about normal. He's kind of in the middle in terms of the whiff rate and all that. I think it's been some bad luck for him and also just pressing. I just think if you're looking for power, Christian Walker, Santander, those are 2 legitimate track record power bats that can be had on the cheap because their Aprils have been terrible. And we both know that more home runs are going to come eventually. They will play to the back of the baseball card. Those guys are still, you know, I think have a lot of baseball in front of them, basically. So Santander, another huge buy for me. Welsh, how about you?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd use the word huge, but I'm definitely like into him. He's actually one of those guys that you look at his profile and the abnormalcy is the thing that stands out. Like if you look at his track record, he barrels the ball at like at least a 10% or higher for the last 5 years, and he's down at 4. So that's not going to continue. He's getting the ball less in the air because he's not barreling. Hard hits are kind of down. I think a lot of that's going to fix. He's actually hitting the ball harder on average more than he did last year. So I do think things are going to bounce back. I'm worried that the average is going to be stinky kind of this year, but you got Vlad and you got Bo Bichette hitting in front of you. I think that's a good spot. If you're chasing power, he has been so bad, and the profile isn't screaming as a buy for a lot of people, that I think his cost is going to be better than most.
Now, this could be the sign of the apocalypse, Welsh, but I think it's buy time on Michael Harris. Yes,
Who
the
are
guy
you?
that I know. Look, I'm all business. That's who I am. I was fading Michael Harris coming into the year because I don't think that his draft stock equals his talent. I just don't. I think he's extremely overrated in the fantasy community. I think he's a nice player who gets confused with a great player. And where he was going in drafts, you were passing on some of my favorite pitchers in terms of ADP value. However, now the pendulum is swung back where he is a value. So people who did draft him that early are frustrated and afraid, and all those things are legitimate. He's hitting 220 on the year. He has 3 homers. Now, he did hit another home run this weekend, so maybe some signs of life starting to come out of it. But the on-base percentage is at 239. That's brutal. He's never been a great OBP guy. 304 last year, 331 the year before that. These are all the things I kept warning about Michael Harris. But that being said, Welsh, if you are interested in Michael Harris and you didn't get to draft him, this is your opportunity to right that wrong if you want to. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be an MVP candidate. I am saying he's a buy low, and I think I look for better days ahead for Michael Harris as well, who has shown you he's a better player. The Braves are kind of a weird thing right now. I was reading this article about how the manager and Acuna don't get along, and that's going to give eventually pretty soon too. Some real nasty days happening in Atlanta, and Strider going back on that IL with the hamstring. That's not going to help things right now. But Michael Harris, I expect to pull out of this tailspin he's been in. And I think you would agree because you're more of a Michael Harris guy than I am.
Yeah, I think the low stats give you a good buying opportunity. He's got an expected batting average about 40 points higher than he's currently hitting. A lot of the profile looks like it does every single year. Hard hits down, though. One interesting thing, massively underperforming against lefties right now. The last 2 seasons coming into this, he had hit 280 or higher against lefties. He's hitting a $111 right now. So he's going to start to bounce back against lefties a bit, which is going to, probably one of those catalysts to the average being down. If he gets back to a 260, 270 guy, he's 2020. It's a pretty good buy opportunity.
All right. 2 more here. One, a pitcher, Aaron Nola of the Phillies. Now, Aaron Nola, we know is a good pitcher. He is one of the most durable guys in Major League Baseball. He's gotten off to a bad start, but this is what Aaron Nola has done in his career. I mean, even going back to last year, look at some of the monthly ERAs for Aaron Nola. In April, 3.20. In May, 2.84. June, 4.5. Then 345, 270, and the end of September with a 4.91 ERA. So it's no surprise that Aaron Nola is notorious for giving you stretches where he looks pretty bad. And he's done this time and time again. And as somebody who's had Aaron Nola in many fantasy leagues over the years, I know this is where you just have to bench him and grin and bear it, but other people lose patience. This is an opportunity to get a pitcher on a good team with a track record of durability that is way better than a lot of other guys out there currently. And there's not a lot of great moments in a fantasy baseball season where you can acquire a pitcher like Aaron Nola. I think this is the spot right now to do it. He is probably going to have another bad month at some point, but you and I both know there will be a stretch of 6 or even 8 weeks where he looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball too. That's what always keeps Aaron Nola eventually outside of that top elite tier, is he always has these bad stretches, and we're here right again.
And he's the 3rd best pitcher on the Phillies right now, which I think stands out to people. Is. Luzardo and Chris Sanchez are ranked higher. I'm not a table beater for Aaron Nola, but what I do like is the team context. I love that he's a workhorse, and he is going to level out. But the level out to me is probably going to be, I will tell you this, he's got this really funny every other year thing. In 2020, 3.2 ERA. 2021, 4.6. 2022, 3.2. 2023, 4.46. 2024, 3.57. So if you like to play the worldly odds, he's on his off year. I think he's going to be a low 4, high 3 if everything turns around. His walks are on a wrong trajectory right now, but as far as like a pitcher that is going to, push 200 innings, Aaron Nola is that guy. And I think he can be got at a really cheap price right now because of those other Philly pitchers pushing.
Now, one more name on the buys is Jazz Chisholm. Let's talk about him. Another guy that has not gotten off to the best start necessarily, but he's still a power speed combo guy. So that's something we covet in fantasy baseball. What does the Jazz Chisholm rest of season look like to you, and why are you looking to acquire him?
Yeah, I think this is a prime time because also on the shows we do, our live show leading off, you have a lot of people that are like, we had more people dislike Jazz from a fantasy perspective than like him in a poll. And a lot of people, what do I do with Jazz? What do I do with Jazz? That's sometimes, especially early on in the season, a tell that it is time that you can go get on the buying opportunity. Jazz has struggled from an offensive batting average standpoint, 161, a 255 OBP. That stinks. But he still has 7 homers and 5 stolen bases while struggling. In the profile, he is barreling at the highest of his career. On average, looks great. Hard hit is higher than it was the last 3 seasons. And his XBA is over 60 points higher than it currently is. It's not great. It's a 225. But here's what we know. It's a middle infield, multi-position guy that just went 24-40. He's going to steal 30. He's going to hit 20 at minimum. The Yankees ballpark is a fantastic spot. Torpedo Pat, whatever. He's going to get it figured out. It's a great buying opportunity because we are seeing all-time low chatter on Jazz Chisholm, and you just know what the counting stats are going to end up looking like. So I'm actually a pretty big buy on Jazz right now, as long as you have your expectations known that the average is probably not going to be anything super sexy. And even when they lower him in the lineup, he's like hitting 5. So I'm a buy on Jazz.
Now, if you need some extra help making deals in your league, use our trade analyzer. The smarter fantasy baseball trades are available for you by using the trade analyzer. Instantly evaluate if a trade benefits your team or your opponent and see how potential trades can affect each team's stats and starting lineups. Make informed trade decisions today with the trade analyzer on the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app or at fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook. So those were the players that we wanted to trade for. Some guys that I might want to trade away. I just want to put this out there. Tyler Soderstrom having a phenomenal month of April. I like Soderstrom, the player. He's young. He's making adjustments. He plays in a great ballpark. I just want to bring up the fact that he had 9 home runs last year in 213 plate appearances, and he has 9 home runs this year in 94. He is probably not going to be a guy with 1,000 OPS rest of season. He's on pace for 60 home runs. That's probably not going to be the case. I'm not trying to unload him for nothing, but if you're giving me Christian Walker plus, if you're giving me a Anthony Santander and a pitcher for Tyler Soderstrom, I think I make that trade because I know what those guys are, and I really don't know what Tyler Soderstrom is for an entire season. I assume the league will make more adjustments to him. I just think the pace is unsustainable. So although he is a guy that we both like going into the season, I think there's an opportunity maybe to pull off a deal where he is at his absolute peak, and it's worth seeing if somebody might overpay for Soderstrom because sometimes by the time April turns to May, people get a little desperate, Welsh.
So I'm a little bit torn on this because I like, and I kind of believe in this profile. It's a bit overinflated, sure. 18% barrel, 51% hard hit rate. Maybe that comes down a tiny bit. Expected batting average is there. He's hitting it hard. He's hitting it in the air, which you want to do in that ballpark. And the ball is going to fly more in the summer. So here's my take on Soderstrom. I actually think I would not be surprised. And I think he can overpass guys like Santander and Christian Walker full season. We've seen Brent Rooker do that with the A's last year with the batting averages higher. But I think the sell opportunity does exist if someone is selling a higher player like a Matt Olson or a Austin Riley or maybe even Devers, to be honest with you, unless you're really, really worried about that. I want to sell high on Soderstrom. Otherwise, I think he's going to live in a territory where he is as valuable as the Cossases and the Christian Walkers of the world. So I have no desire to really move off of him because I think the ballpark benefits. So I'm wishy-washy on this one as far as selling Soderstrom. I want it to be on the high because I think this profile will play in this stadium.
All right, somebody who's on the high right now is Shota Imanaga. He has a 2.22 ERA, but that's not the whole story. His xERA, the expected ERA, is 4.05. The FIP is at 4.45. The expected FIP is at 4.86. The strikeout K per 9 was at 9 last year. It is now at 6.67. There's a bunch of red flags. The walk rate has gone from 1.45 walks per 9 to 3.18. This is a really dangerous territory. He's not striking out guys. His left on base is about 90%. Shota Imanaga is not pitching well, despite the fact his ERA looks dazzling. I'd be looking to move off him. Am I panicking too much, Welsh?
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I think he is pitching well, but the underlying is screaming and telling us a different story. Like you said, his walks are double what they were last year. He's giving up even more. His barrel rate's almost 10% against. All 3 pitches, his main 3 pitch usage, have expected batting averages higher. So it's not like one pitch is kind of carrying the weight. They're all just overperforming right now. And this is with a strikeout rate that's under 20%, like you mentioned. So I'm not super into it. If you could sell off of Imanaga high for an underperforming top pitcher, maybe it's a great time to go and look and try to get a Kirby as he's pushing forward. Or, maybe people are indifferent about Jacob deGrom. Those are moves I would probably make. So I'm with you on this one.
Last guy on the list, Trevor Story, who's gotten off to a great start, hitting 337, a 528 slugging, an 894 OPS, 5 homers, 6 stolen bases. The injuries, that's always the looming factor with Story. So is this you just trying to get out from under before regression and injury strikes, the inevitable for Trevor Story?
Yeah, this is a weird one for me because I was big Trevor Story. Like, hey, it's a 2020 potential. You're getting in the post 200s. Why not? Now we're here. I don't want to just trade off. I'm, especially for me, I'm not a big like injury guy. You, Bogman, you guys like to kind of sell off of guys with injury worries. I tend to hold, but I'm not going to like not acknowledge that Trevor Story cannot stay healthy. There are prospects in the wings. He is hitting at a level that is ridiculous. And the team context, they also kind of gave us like, oh man, Trevor Story's a 30-30 guy when healthy. They're building him up for people. So I think his cost is at an all-time high. The profile does look great. He's not walking at all. He's still striking out a lot though, but the injuries are just out there. If you can sell, kind of like in the Soderstrom thing, it doesn't have to be the same cost, but if you can sell him high, if you can sell Trevor Story at, 110 cents on the dollar, I think I'm moving off of it with the injury. Like even if you got a middle-line pitcher and like a Chandler Simpson or something like that, like I'm looking to maybe consolidate because I 100% believe the injuries are going to catch up to Trevor Story, and there are guys that they are going to throw into the wings of it. But no doubt he has been awesome. I'm a big Red Sox guy this year with a lot of them and them winning the division. But Story's a guy I think you can optimize by moving off and maybe getting a haul for.
All right, so who are you buying and selling? Drop your comments below. Let us hear from you on the YouTube comments. Subscribe to the channel because we're giving away a Nico Horner jersey, so you qualify to win that when you just comment below and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell till it goes ding, and you could join us for Leading Off Live every single day on twitch.tv/FantasyPros, noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. Be there. And of course, if you can't be there, you can always watch on the YouTube channel, video on demand. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on for the Welsh. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Happy dealing.